be broadcasting, allowing others to file in. So you are now officially visible to people. Giselle will launch that, and then I will hop out and hop in from the attendee view.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, have a great session.
You know what we're missing? The music for the, while people are logging in.
Diana, that's what my mommy would call la musiquita por dentro.
Yeah. Well, that's our signature, right? As Latinos, the music and the food. Hello, hello. Thank you for being with us. Sharhia, how do we say your name so that we say it correctly? I think you're on mute. Okay. Okay, everyone, we're just waiting a couple more minutes so that people continue to come in, and we'll start promptly at 9. Hi.
Hello. Sorry, it's Sharia. I'm sorry.
Sharia.
Yes.
Thank you.
I had to disconnect again because it wasn't working. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
We can hear you.
All right, perfect. I'm actually going to switch to my Bluetooth, so probably a little clearer.
Sure, no worries.
And Giselle, I did see your question about the board, and I'll get back to you. I just didn't get a chance to follow up.
Sounds good.
We are running live now. We're just waiting a couple of minutes for 9 to hit, and then we'll get started. Those are balloons.
Yes, it was my birthday last week, so then they still floating.
Congratulations, happy birthday.
Another Libra, Sherry.
Virgo, 9/11.
I'm on the cusp, so I'm Libra on Sunday. This coming Sunday.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll give people about another minute or two to start joining, and then we'll kick it off very shortly.
I have a window on both sides of where I am, and the sun this morning decided to hit my camera. So I'm trying to figure out how to position myself here. Yes, we definitely need the music. Okay, people are joining. Good morning.
We should have another live before we go live picture. We have everyone.
All right, I think now's a good time to get started. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to ALPFA Boston's 14th Annual Latina Summit. 14th, not even coronavirus can knock us off track, so that's a pretty impressive road. It's different this year, it's virtual. There are many sessions throughout the day that you can choose, so we're very, very grateful that you chose this one as one of the ones you're attending here today. My name is Mario Rivera, and I am the president of the ALPFA Boston chapter. I particularly really like this event every year. It's actually our best attended event every year, with over 300 people usually joining us. And I find that just so important from what ALPFA does in our Women of ALPFA initiative and supporting Latinas. And we don't just do it this once a year, right? We do it throughout the year with our amazing team on the Women of ALPFA side. But also, if you think about our corporate advisory board, who has 4 of Boston's top Latina leaders, our immediate past presidents before that, over 50% of our board is actually Latina. So we support our Latinas all year round, and that's a really important initiative from ALPFA, and you're part of that, right? You're part of coming to these events and supporting the Latina Summit every year. So we really, really appreciate this. We find it critically, critically important. And this year, just super exciting with all the things that the team led by Giselle and L.E.A.D were able to accomplish by testing things out virtually. So we really appreciate you joining us for this, and we're gonna have a lot of fun today. We have some great speakers lined up, with our first keynote, Maritza, here today, and then later you're gonna hear from Nina Vaca, who we're super excited to have join us as well. So with that, again, welcome. We're super excited. I want to turn it over now to a great contributor, board member, a great coach, a great friend, Ileana Rojas, our Chief Development Officer here for the ALPFA Boston chapter. So with that, Ileana, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mario, and good morning, everyone. I'm Ileana Rojas. I'm the Chief Development Officer for ALPFA's Boston chapter, and it is an honor for me to welcome you to this first ever virtual Latina Summit. Like Mario mentions, it is the 14th. However, this year has challenged us to think things differently. So it is the 14th and now the first to make it virtually. Now, this has been a year of unprecedented challenges, and with it, many changes, resulting in new ways to do things. And this event has definitely not been the exception. Now, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge those that have been affected, and our hearts and thoughts go to everyone during these times. We appreciate and thank the frontline workers and hope that they continue to remain healthy and safe. We also hope you, your teams, and your families are staying safe and healthy as we practice physical distancing and journey the reopening of the many businesses and schools across the state and the country. Now today, as part of Hispanic Heritage Month, we celebrate Latina professionals and entrepreneurs. Latinos are the fastest growing ethnicity, representing almost 20% of the total US population, with a buying power approaching 1.7 trillion annually. However, according to a study conducted last year by the EOS Foundation in Massachusetts, women of color make up only 3% of executive leadership teams and 6% of boards, demonstrating a critical gap to achieve a diverse workforce across all levels of an organization. And this is what brings us here today, to provide professional Latinas and allies with valuable resources, strategies, and networking opportunities to help drive their professional development. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here today. We know that in today's fast-paced environment, it is challenging to attend a full-day event, and especially if they're virtual. However, I would encourage you to attend as many sessions as you can, because the lineup of speakers and topics we will have here is like no other. We have over 20 different speakers between C-suite level executives and seasoned professionals, all experts in their fields. So you won't want to miss any of them. Now, if you only signed up for this session and would like to attend more, don't worry. At the end of the session, we will provide you with a link where you will see a landing page where you can see the links to the rest of the sessions so you can attend as many as you can. So thank you once more for being here this morning. And now I would like to introduce you to the power team that made this event possible. Our Women of Alpha team, Giselle Lopez and Laura Regus Alvarez. Thank you, Giselle.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Mario and Ileana, for your warm introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Giselle. I'm the Vice President of Women of Alpha. Our mission is to support and empower Latina professionals to reach their full potential through targeted programs, professional development resources, and exposure to senior leaders through networking, mentoring. And we also aim to strengthen your leadership and management skills, fostering both your professional and your personal development. Today's event could not have happened with the immense support from the Women of Alpha team, and of course, my co-chair, Laura.
Thank you, Giselle. As you mentioned, my name is Laura Regus Alvarez, and I'm the co-chair for the Women of Alpha. The Latina Summit is a part of Women of Alpha, Alpha's most powerful and popular initiative nationally. Women of Alpha is dedicated to the professional success of Latina women.
Next, I would like to thank L.E.A.D Street for sponsoring today's event, and our corporate partners who are being part of the career fair. Without them, this event would not be possible. And now I would like to introduce Sharia Wade. She's the head of Global Inclusion and Diversity at L.E.A.D Street, to say some words on behalf of our event partner, L.E.A.D Street. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Sharia Wade, and as mentioned, I work here at State Street Corporation under Paul Francisco, our Chief Diversity Officer, who many of you know. State Street has been a sponsor of the Latina Summit for the last 5 years, and of Alpha since the inception in 2000. Our relationship with Alpha has enabled many State Street employees opportunities to expand their skill sets by providing leadership opportunities and expanded professional external networks. And many of our State Street individuals serve our leadership roles within Alpha, including National Board of Directors, Advisory Board membership, and local chapter leads, which many of you know: Paul, Yvonne Garcia, Hector Lopez, and many more. In today's world, initiatives like the Latina Summit allow us to bring together women and men that believe in diversity and empowerment. Today, you will hear from women who have achieved their dreams and goals because of hard work, self-confidence, and determination. And in many cases, they have defeated every type of stereotypes, gender, and unlikely odds. Thank you for having me this morning, and I will turn it back over to Giselle.
Thank you. Thank you for your continued support. And I will pass it to Juliana.
Thank you, Sharia, and thank you, Giselle. And thank you again, everyone, and State Street for your continued support to ALPFA. Now, before I introduce our keynote speaker this morning, I have a few housekeeping items to share with you. First, please be sure to follow us and share all your photos, videos, and experiences throughout the day in this summit, and share them on your social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to tag us at ALPFA Boston or use the hashtag ALPFA Boston. I also want to encourage you to participate and ask questions throughout today's session through the Q&A option. We will leave around 15 minutes towards the end of the session to address your questions. Now, also, please note that this session will be recorded and available on a later date. And now I would like to welcome our wonderful keynote speaker that will open up our event this morning. She is not only an extraordinary Latina who has empowered many women through her holistic coaching, but also a very dear friend who I dearly admire and who inspires me every day, Maritza Coscarelli. Maritza is a visionary leader in the field of transformational coaching. A former professional dancer, she's a current business owner, life and leadership coach, keynote speaker, mother, and volunteer. Having mastered her own unique formula for achieving and sustaining peak performance from her former life as a professional ballet and contemporary dancer, she brings endless passion and proficiency to every aspect of her work. This foundational approach to achieving beyond the confines of standard measures of success has served her and her clients immeasurably in realizing potential beyond what originally seemed possible through her proprietary system, the Holistic Coaching Program. She has had the honor of attending New York's University Tisch School of the Arts, studying human development at Eckerd College, and becoming a Coach Training Alliance and ICF certified coach, as well as graduate and facilitator of People Tech's leadership journey. She enjoyed her time as a lifestyle director, area director, and then Southeast Regional Hiring, Training, and Coaching Director with NFC Amenity Management. She derives deep fulfillment and love for her family as the proud daughter of a Dominican immigrant, the cherished wife of an Italian immigrant, and a deeply devoted mother of two highly accomplished adult children. As a successful business owner, she founded the Palm Coast Dance Academy and is now the CEO and head coach at MC Coaching. She is also a certified yoga and meditation teacher and practitioner of more than 2 decades. Finally, she contributes volunteer time and dedication to her community through her roles at Urban Youth Impact, the Hispanic Education Coalition, and Toastmasters International. Maritza, thank you for being with us this morning. The virtual floor is all yours.
Ileana, good morning, friends. Al familia, buenos dias, and thank you for that incredible introduction. What an honor to be back with ALPFA today. Well, the reality of things, babies, bills, women, men, deadlines. Wow, life. A pandemic, racial injustice, unemployment, division, corruption. Wow, 2020. Healing is a journey taken by the courageous and the brave. Every day you are presented with a gift. What might be possible if you responded with equanimity, regardless of the circumstances? Sure, it's important sometimes to be mad, angry, furious even. But how do we keep our composure, remain centered in our core, and become the mindful leaders we are being called to be? Each and every morning, you are given a gift, a simple gift, the present. And then life begins for that day. Now, you can choose to address the day out of default, to feel scattered and pulled in many, many directions before you even get out of your bed. Or you can choose equanimity, repose, and purpose. It is a calling. It is a practice. It is a resource. In 2015, 15 years ago in 2005, Eckhart Tolle published his book, A New Earth. A lot of us didn't know what he was talking about. And we were warned, if you get the book and you begin it and it's like you're reading a foreign language, put it back on your shelf. There will come a time when you will understand. There will come a time where you will be called and you will answer the calling to be the light. We are being called like never before in 2020. A decade ago, I began formulating and researching and honestly was a bit obsessed with holistic coaching. I had been broken, and usually the journey is messy. It is not what you think. Yes, as Sharia said, dreams are realized, and often contrast presents, challenges face us, and it becomes a living nightmare. What do we do with that past? That's where we have empowerment and control. Deepak Chopra speaks to us about self-empowerment on 6 levels. The level of healing, the level of bonding and belonging, the level of self-worth, the level of committing and giving, and then a bonus, the power of one, the power of you. You contribute simply by being yourself and being here. Thank you for the honor of listening. Thank you, Al Familia, for this platform. Let's begin by clearing space. Do you often feel that when your closet is cluttered, it's full of things and you have nothing to wear? Do you sometimes find yourself trying to get to work and the state of your desk in your office cannot allow you to focus? Imagine what is going on in your head. You see, we process more information in a day that someone in the Middle Ages processed in a lifetime. I want you to openly join me. This is not of any particular denomination. This is a moment for you to clear the space for the generosity of the summit, for opening your mind, expanding your body, your spirit, your soul, and allowing yourself to receive and be enriched. I know how generous you are. I see my Latina women giving, nurturing, cultivating all day long. Take this moment and sit comfortably with me. That means your spine stacked like building blocks, your limbs supported in the chair in which you sit, uncrossed. You may close your eyes if you're compelled to. You may keep them open. But I do ask that you take a pause with me for a very slow, deep breath. Observe your thoughts. We are wired for negativity to keep us safe. We are wired for judgment so that trust is built. But I ask you to suspend any disbelief and take a moment in the silence I am going to afford you to observe your thoughts as they come and go, like birds landing on a wire. Watch them. Do not add to them. Do not get deeply involved or create a story around any of them. But do begin in the silence to take notes of specific thoughts as they arise naturally. Notice in particular those that begin with I like, I don't like, I can, I can't. And finally, notice what follows the statements that come up. Let's try this together. At this time, if you choose to close your eyes, just let your eyelids get heavy until they meet in a relaxed way. Inhale deeply. Pause at the top of your inhale and exhale slowly and observe what comes up in the silence. Any resistance to participating in the exercise? Meet it with compassion. Meet it with kindness. Meet it like you would a child resisting an adventure. Feel your mind. Feel your body. Feel your spirit and your soul. Allow them expansion, release. Put down all your concerns, every to-do list, everything that happened this morning before you got here, and everything that is going to go on for the rest of the day. This summit, this day, is your gift. If your eyes were closed, gently bring your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul back into this moment. And know this, in the words of Eckhart Tolle, the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but the thought about it. Be aware of the thoughts you are thinking. In that awareness, separate them from the situation, which is always neutral. Oh, if it could be this way. But I am a realist. I am a real optimist. And the truth of the matter is that when the waters are rough, the deep sea is still rather calm. You are already innately, intrinsically whole, even when you're falling to pieces. You see, I didn't begin in this place decades ago. The first dream realized, many of you have already heard. I aspired at a high achievement of becoming a working, touring, contracted professional ballet and contemporary dancer. And as I have received the gift of being led to ALPFA, my first contract was with Ballet Hispanico of New York. It was a dream come true. And of course, at a 19 years old of age, tender 19 years old, coming from an overprotective Napoleon dad, Bobby, I thought I was ready to soar, ready to travel the world, ready to meet the demands of the ballet. And little by little, I had not built that foundation, and so the rug was pulled from under me. Being in mirrors all day in rehearsal studios broke me down. I lost my sense of self-worth. I couldn't find the self-love I had entered the performing arts with. I could no longer perform at the level required without physical injury, mental confusion, frustration, and drowning. And I knew that if I was to continue to embrace this dream come true, I had to awaken from the living nightmare and could not do it alone. I began to seek a village of healers. I began by approaching an ashram, not knowing what it was, walking in dressed in black when everyone was robed in white. But I decided, and it all begins with a decision that we are privileged to make each and every morning to begin anew. I decided that I wanted to live a happier, more blissful, more joyful existence. Every generation defines a vision of love and bliss and peace, a new earth, let's say, one that embraces all people, all living things, that is supportive, understanding, and receptive to all ideas that have value, to your ideas of value. And it begins with auto-liderazgo, leadership of yourself. Nothing at last is sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yes, there are sacred things you believe. Yes, there is faith, but the knowing of a thing is very, very different than the living of a thing. And in our culture, above all else, we embrace, we relish living our lives fully. Mind mastery is the key to what you desire for yourself, for others, and for the world. I've mentioned it once already. What is it to suspend any disbelief? It is to imagine. It is to be in wonder like a child. Let's begin anew in this moment. Are you with me? You are here. We are here. I ask you, te suplico, be here now. It is not about what you're going to acquire today. It is about what you're willing to let go. The mindful leader in action follows what I have come to outline as the 5 C's of mindful leadership. They are not just woo-woo mindset. They are a strategy for knowing yourself and for a level of self-awareness that might seem a bit frightening at first, and yet will connect you to your innate and true power, allowing you to communicate, to exist, and to lead from your highest, most confident self. What would that feel like? Before we dig into these, reflect for a moment. At a peak moment, the peak moment in your life thus far. If you have a notebook near you, now is the time to grab your pen, grab your notebook. Allow yourself in your mind's eye to travel back to that peak moment, personal, professional, relational. The first thing that occurs to you is really the truest. What was that like for you? Maybe you're compelled to take your pen to that paper and journal in detail what you remember. First, in your senses. What do you see in that moment? What did it smell like? What did you hear? What was tangible for you to feel? Were you completely tuned in, as if the world around you had stopped and every care, real or imagined, had disappeared? I had a moment like that once, and then I was shaken from it. I was in Reggio Emilia, Italy, in the local opera house. We performed the group portrait of a lady, choreographed by Vicente Nebrada, of the National Ballet of Venezuela. I was the second lead, and I could feel, I could sense I was completely in the zone that evening. Embraced by the Italian audience, unbeknownst to me, as my full focus was lost in the performance. At the time of our curtain calls, it was a dream realized. The applause was thunderous. I could see as the lights came up slightly that people were on their feet. And all of a sudden, as if in something I had only seen in a film, flowers were flooding the stage to the point where they were hitting me on my body. I was taken. My breath went away for a moment, and I was humbled at the power of one. This didn't last. Each morning in the theater, you meet bright and early, regardless of the late night before, and you are given evaluation or feedback in the moment from the notes taken both by the director and the rehearsal director. And I was reprimanded. The first word out of Tina, the director's mouth, were, "Do you even know your place?" I was so confused. I was young and naive. I didn't understand the hierarchy of stealing the spotlight from the principal dancer. I didn't understand that I had overstepped my role in this ballet as her younger self. I didn't had never perceived the level of self-awareness to know my strengths and when they are overused and become my weaknesses. And so let's begin with this first C of mindful leadership. Consciousness. A Harvard University professor put out a question in research for his PhD decades ago. Are you enlightened? If so, please reply. Oddly enough, he received a large number of responses, not from monks robed in Tibet, not from people dedicated to their religion in the way of a priest or a nun or a pastor, but from regular people living regular lives, ordinary lives all over the world that had practiced and mastered mindfulness to a point of self-awareness, awareness of those around them and the impact they have on others, awareness of their surroundings and their interconnectedness to the nature of reality, so that in spite of circumstances, in spite of tragedies and natural disasters and personal suffering and pain, they managed to live a level of radical happiness, joy, peace of mind, contentment, if you will. Consciousness is a scientific mystery. It continues to be researched in depth. It is difficult to realize that it is the practice and the knowledge of being aware that you are aware. You are present. You are here. You are hopefully still listening. That is no question. And yet you also are the observer of yourself, of thoughts that come and go, whether they're curious, inquiry, or judgment. They pass quickly, sometimes 70,000 of them in a day, and yet you can still maintain an awareness of yourself, an awareness of others. How is this even humanly possible? Neuroscience is just beginning to catch up to the understanding of not only our brains and the neural pathways we have created from our past, but understanding the neuroplasticity that allows you the power right at your fingertips, right in your breath, right in your frontal lobe, to decide and choose to be mindful in the present moment. And that can be very confusing. It is not a surprise, if you go back to my opening statements, that you might feel overwhelmed. You might feel anxious or stressed more than you like. It may even surprise you. What's surprising is not that you feel that way, but that you allow it to surprise you, rather than embrace that this is the existence and the contrast and the paradox of life that allows you a power larger than you can imagine, a superpower, if you will. Often, what I coach on most is called soft skills. I refer to them as your super skills. And if you're able to clear space as we did this morning, simply by going into the quiet and not trying to obstruct or stop your thoughts, but observing them as they pass, you will find yourself clearing the way to be more coherent, more intelligible, more transparent, more pure. This daily practice of getting clear that can happen many times in any situation, unbeknownst to anyone, is essential to your well-being and your effectiveness, beginning with yourself and your loved ones. I do not separate the way you live from the way you lead, or the way you lead from the way you live. When you get clear, you are humbly able to show full dedication, not just to a cause, but to yourself, to your people. You become so clear on a purpose and a passion that drive your commitment even deeper. Rarely do we commit 100%. I think it was Michael Jordan that was known to say that 98% is much more challenging, much more difficult, and much more stressful than 100%. 100% becomes non-negotiable. Will failure come? Absolutely, and it will serve to teach us. Will success come? Absolutely, and it will not define us. We will find the middle place, because that is the place where we stay on purpose. I am on a mission to elevate Latinas, to elevate women, to elevate a few amazing men to the level that they are called to rise to lead. And once you commit, it's only the beginning. You see, I took many lessons from the bar. No, not the one at the corner with the rum and coke, the ballet bar. I knew that every dancer, from the 13-year-old on scholarship at New Jersey Ballet to finding myself at American Ballet Theater for class next to Mikhail Baryshnikov, started in first or second position of their feet every morning with a simple plie, a bend of the knees. It was a consistent, healthy habit, a consistent behavior that not only built the foundation for what was to come, but kept it strong, solid, and yet pliable at the same time. It is how you build trusting relationships. Humans crave consistency. Yes, I believe in agility, flexibility, and embracing change. This is what consistency allows us to fortify ourselves for. When we were faced with the early days of COVID-19, when we were asked to hunker down and lock down in our homes nationwide, every individual was now put on an even playing field, and yet every reaction or action was slightly different. We are so alike and yet so different and yet so alike. And yet there is one place that unifies us all. That is wholeness. That is the power of one. When you can devote yourself to consistent and disciplined practices that I will share with you today, you will find that the smallest steps done on a daily basis have the biggest impact to take you beyond your set goals, beyond your wildest dreams. It will take courage. Acting in spite of fear demonstrates courage. And courage, my friends, is contagious. We are all going to be afraid of the unknown, and yet most things are not in our control. We control our thoughts, and therefore we focus energy on a mastery of our mind. We then control our actions as a result of those thoughts and our behaviors. We are, it has been said, creatures of habit. And at any time, we have the power within to build a new and consistent habit. Will it feel comfortable? No. You see, balance is not stability, security. Actually, balance is perpetual motion. At the beginning, I asked you, what might be possible if you could respond with equanimity to all circumstances? It wouldn't mean that you deny your true emotions. It would mean that you process them, that you know the power of a pause, the power of the life force of your own breath. I am an extrovert and an ambivert. I am passionate and purposeful. I am mostly on fire. It would be unlikely for you to find me still and silent if I didn't do it on purpose. If I didn't have the courage that I had when I entered a studio with one of my spiritual teachers, and she asked me to do less than I could do, to be still, to be in the here and now, and to say nothing. As I took those breaths, the tears began to flow, and I felt like I was shattering. And we both sat in silence, facing one another. As the tears bathed my face, they felt like they baptized my body. It was very unsure and very frightening because it felt if I let go and removed the mask, what would be left? But when you take the courage and through love, clarity, commitment, and perseverance, you allow yourself with kindness and compassion to be with that uncertainty and that fear, you will build the 5 C's of leadership. And it is indeed contagious. When you do it for yourself, all the doubters, all the naysayers, and many who have stood the way and been afraid of the change, the transformation that they see you going through will surprise you. They will turn to you, not only because they will feel safe and secure and sound, but because you will have stepped into the role of being the light. Your wisdom, knowing, and understanding may feel shackled sometimes in the presence of ignorance, in the presence of overwhelm, and of all that is happening in the world today. It has never been this, and it has never been very different. Is it indeed the reason that every single generation is counted on to be the change, to be the light, to re-energize and recreate the vision of love, bliss, radical happiness, and contentment? You see, your mindful awareness is the key, not only to breaking free, but to leading others to that freedom with you. I want you to join me and listen very carefully to an aspiration I have just for you. It's inspired by the teachings of Pakchak Rinpoche in Radically Happy. May your mind become flexible like flowing water. May your actions be responsive rather than reactive to the needs of others, like an experienced host helping your guests. May you maintain like space. Space is immutable, my friends. It can't be harmed. And within space, things can appear seemingly out of nowhere. May the light of happiness, this present moment of wholehearted awareness shine through, within, and around you. You see, I am not teaching you anything. I am not advising or recommending or telling you any which way to be or do. Actually, I'm asking you to undo the layering, the conditioning, the ideas and the knowing that you may be holding on so tight to that it may be challenging at times, as it is for me, to open yourself to allowing and receiving all the light.
Hi everyone, we're expecting technical difficulties at this point. Maritza is reconnecting, so just please hang tight and we will be back shortly.
These are the fun things about doing virtually. On the one hand, we can get a lot of people coming in from a lot of different places, but unfortunately when the Wi-Fi drops off, then that sort of ends it. But it goes back, I think, to the resilience and adaptation that she was mentioning, right? It's about all of these change.
Exactly, and I would like to remind everyone that we're taking questions. So if you have any questions for Maritza, please include them on the Q&A. And as well that we have a career fair that is live. So if you're looking for new job opportunities, or you're curious to learn about the companies that support Alpha Mission, you can go and check them. A couple of them are live already.
Yep. And we're having a full day of sessions for those of you that haven't seen the full agenda. Just after this event starting at 10:30, we have a wonderful salary negotiation workshop. So if you did not register and have time to drop in at 10:30, please do. Our speaker, Amanda, is just an expert on the field and will give us a lot of tips on how to tackle this very important subject that helps us, really own our worth and make sure that we are able to speak for it and speak for our values. So we definitely invite you to do that. And then after lunch, we're gonna do a small break for lunch because we all need to eat. And then after that, we're coming with several other panels on how to join a board and on positioning yourself for success. And then a wonderful panel on men as allies. This is new. We haven't had a focus on men before at Latina Summit, so we're very excited for that. And we're having wonderful speakers in that panel. So definitely also encourage all of our men allies to join that, that session. And finally, we're going to close the day with Nina Vaca, which we're very excited to have her here today. And again, something that would have been very challenging to accomplish if this event would have been live. So we're very excited for that to happen.
Also, someone asked in the chat about this session being recorded, and it is being recorded, and we'll be sharing it, not right away, but we will be sharing after.
Yeah. And we have also many other events throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. Obviously, it's an important month for Latinos. So check out our social media platforms. We're constantly sharing the different events that are going to be happening throughout the month. So check them out and make sure that you join us. It is a month to celebrate, so don't miss out on those. Did we share with the audience, Giselle or Laura, where they can check the landing page for today's events, for today's sessions?
Let's do it again, Laura.
So please check those out. Also a reminder on the career fair, if anybody wants to comment on that.
The career fair is going live and strong. If you're interested in learning more about the companies that are participating, just to name a few, we have Mass Mutual, Fidelity, Aviomed, Bank of America, Immunity Pioneer, Liberty Mutual, Sherwin-Williams, Eaton Banks, Harvard University. Wow, we have so many. So if you're looking for any opportunity on learning more about the companies that are supporting ALPFA's mission and Women of ALPFA, I invite you to go in and talk to them.
Perfect. And go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I would just say in the extra time that we have I apologize to anyone that's very familiar with ALPFA, but for those that are newer to ALPFA, I just wanted to give you a little background on us because we're a really awesome organization that I hope you join. ALPFA is a national organization, has over 80,000 members across the country. We have over 8,000 here in Boston, so that's why you'll see our events like this one can get over 300 people because we do have such a great reach in the community. We have over 20 corporate sponsors. So again, good reach because sponsors come to us looking for Latino professionals like many of you to introduce to their organization and get familiar with. And many of you may even be people that bring ALPFA to your organization so that you can network with other Latinos or see other leaders and continue attending events like this. So we have both professional chapters, which this is the Boston chapter, and then we also have student chapters, and they are different universities all throughout the country. We have student chapters like Bentley, we have Brandeis, we have Suffolk University. So we just opened up Harvard actually. So we've got a lot of students as well that volunteer with us, and then once they graduate, look to get involved with ALPFA. ALPFA is great that it's a national organization, and I'd say for anyone that it comes new to Boston or relocates and checking out if there's an ALPFA chapter in that area, which was the case for me. And we have a term at ALPFA. I don't remember if Maritza mentioned already, but she said she wanted to ALPFamilia. And so we really welcome all of you into this ALPFamilia once you become a member. Even if you're not, we might think of you as ALPFamilia anyway because you're here. Just because it's that type of organization where it's not the networking type per se. We do a lot of networking, but we want to feel that extra Latino level of being part of the family. So I like to say we do three things in particular. We do professional development. So whether it's an event like this or our Rising Latino Leader Summit later on, it could be our community engagement. So that could be our partnership with the Boston Chamber of Commerce. It could be recognition for members in the work that they're doing, or it could be volunteering with organizations like Junior Achievement, where we go into a school and present to students. And lastly, we do networking. So how do we get you access to all the Latino leaders in the Boston area, and now it may expand beyond that because again, ALPFA is a national organization and we can pull in people virtually to get involved. So we can connect all of you to our wider audience, and that networking includes recruitment and any opportunities we're looking for, such as the career fair. So I hope for anyone new that gives you a little background on ALPFA. It stands for the Association of Latino Professionals for America, and we are a business organization in general. So we welcome all different industries. And with that, I see Maritza is back, so I can turn it over to her.
Thank you, Maritza. Welcome back.
Yeah, sí, qué pena. So as you know, or may not know, I am a Floridian, and we are in storm season, and we just lost all power and connectivity. And this is what happens. So I am going to do my very best to go back in the presentation and guess exactly where I was when we left off. And I know this is recording, so I kept going in the event that I could catch you where we left off. But let's see how we can share here and get back to the presentation as it was. Let's see. Allow me a moment as I rewind.
No worries. This is part of the resiliency, right? And then the adaptation that you were talking about. It is part of this new world that we need to show.
It is. Let's see. All right, I know it will come back up. Yes, it will. All right, my friends, we had completed the 5 C's of leadership for certain, and we were entering a really wonderful and juicy part of how you can take this practice for yourself. So it was time for you to have a mindful mini break. This is going to be one of the tools that I really honestly encourage you from my heart of hearts to take into practice. And that is to remain fully present, particularly when your attention span is called for a longer period of time, as it has been through this keynote. Now, I had a misbelief, I will call it, if that is such a thing, that I had focus issues. And it seemed a little contradictory to the fact of what I had accomplished early in my life. But I had not yet, well into adulthood, been in a corporate position like that was afforded to me by NFC Amenity Management. It called upon parts of my leadership skills and my analytical skills that I had never really used in a professional setting before. And many wondered how I got hired as a lifestyle director and how I went all the way to regional director, hiring, training, and coaching all of the staff for 6 luxury properties in a short period of time. And what I came to know is something I want to share with you in hindsight. The other day, actually speaking to Ileana, it came to light clearly to me that courage and confidence aren't always evident in the moment. If you think about a moment that has called for you to be bold and brave and brilliant and completely out of your comfort zone, you will realize that in fact you were acting in spite of your nerves, in spite of your fear. You were in fact calling upon your focus, because when we get nervous, your focus narrows. A mindful break and some deep breathing allows you to take advantage of this laser focus and yet open your perspective to a broader view of things again. So how do we take a mindful mini break? Stop, drop, no, not roll. Come into this moment. Nothing before it, nothing after it. You can take a mini break like this for as little as a minute. At 3 minutes, it has been shown scientifically to be equal to a 30-minute nap. How do we do this? You may have to leave your surroundings at first. If not, you can do it right at your desk, right in your home. No one will be the wiser. Practice 3 rounds of a gamma breath. Some of you have heard me speak before and are familiar with it already. It is an inhale through your mouth for 5 seconds. Some teach it in 3. I prefer that you try to lengthen your breath. Inhale through your mouth for 5. Hold the peak of your inhale for 5. And slowly exhale through your mouth for 5. Your next inhale is through your mouth, holding it at its peak and out only through your nose. The next round is in and out your nose with a slight constriction in the back of your throat. It will make you sound a bit like Darth Vader or an ocean wave. And the final breath in the round is in your nose and blowing it like you're letting the air slowly out of a balloon with a whistle through your mouth. 3 rounds of this, and it raises your brain waves to a higher level, a more focused and free and liberated, more creative place. Become aware of the power you have, the knowledge and the wisdom that you already own to create space, to broaden your mind, to expand yourself, for being able to give and receive more mindfully and more generously. I am asking you, in fact, to stop, drop into yourself, and be. We are not human doings, we are human beings. Research for yourself, and I will also provide you resources in what it is to be in a state of mind of being in the present, of doing less. It is indeed a mantra you can repeat and live by. Do less, be more. As much as you may occasionally be in the state of overwhelm, of stress, of anxiety, of deadlines and babies and bosses, as much as you may allow the stimulus of news on all that is happening in current affairs, your true power to step up, to be a thought leader and a change maker lies in your power to be. These are only 5 of many powerful, thought-provoking questions you can ask yourself to inspire mindful action. I was a person that only a short few years ago resisted, with compassion and kindness, journaling. It was never my forte. But I opened myself up at a retreat centered on women, entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, where I was not the speaker or the coach or the leader, but in fact the attendee, expanding my own awareness, my skills, tools, and resources for all of you. And I decided that I would liberate myself to write freely. Not only do you want to ask yourself these questions gently, but you want to allow your pen to flow on the paper. Are your thoughts and actions in harmony with nature and with its interconnected reality? The wine you may sip at night, the vegetables you may serve at dinner, the protein you may choose to add to that menu, all are demonstrative of our interconnected and natural reality. There are so many steps that had to happen for that to reach your table, for that to become the norm in your society and culture, for that to be passed and created. At some point, someone had to start somewhere. Where are you starting? And are you letting the start of something new stop you? Is this choice getting you closer or further from your most authentic and genuine self and her goals? Are you motivated by curiosity, empathy, and love in this moment? Even before we open our mouths, whether to our sassy teenager, our stubborn Calabres husband, a coworker, or a client, ask yourself and pause. Am I about to say something true, kind, and necessary? Know the power of your words. Does my decision, choice, or behavior move me closer to authenticity, which in your body will feel flowing and relaxed of tension, stress, or anxiety? Closer to contentment, to actual radical happiness that is so deep within you that it's unrattled by circumstance, not meaning that you lack empathy, but that in that empathy you have the power to hold space for your suffering, the suffering of others, and the solution. Am I now, right now, yes, now, truly present? Have I stopped listening, being? Has the curiosity left? Or am I turned towards true knowing and allowing myself to go and let go to the flow of what is natural and true? Well, my friends, it has been my sincere honor and pleasure to be here, to be even a small part of your expansion and your connection to the power of universal source, to the light that surrounds you, that comes inside you, and that emanates from you. Each and every one of us is being called in these times, like no other, to be the light, to integrate our darkness and our lightness into the most genuine and true version of ourselves with courage. Maya Angelou, in fact, said courage is the most important virtue of them all. Without them, we cannot exercise and act in any of the others. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let's stay in touch. Let's remain connected. Mil gracias. And I turn it back to our leader, Liliana.
Thank you, Maritza. Thank you. It was so inspiring, everything that you shared with us today. And we invite our audience, if they have any questions, please to add them in the chat and I will be managing them through here. But to start, I myself have so many questions, and you talk a lot about you know, throughout you gave several examples about the power of the pause and being present, especially towards the end. And today I think it's something that many of us want to do. However, you know, in the competing demands of the day, being connected in Zoom all day, just in general, it becomes challenging. And I wanted to there's also that thought that, especially as Latinas, we always need to over-deliver to stand out, right? So although we know maybe, or we've heard from you that the power of the pause is important to take care of ourselves, but on the flip side, it's that guilt of, but if I pause right now, I don't do something that I need to do, and I'm always trying to, you know, over-deliver and check all the things on my list because I need to be, you know, on the run for everything, all the competing priorities for the day. So how do we balance that belief of doing everything that we have to, and then making that pause for us without that guilt?
It's so interesting. One of the things that immediately came to my mind and to my heart when you asked that was stimulus. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, incredible speaker, Holocaust survivor, wrote a lot about responsiveness and stimulus. So we receive stimulus all the time. And unfortunately, we choose even more than the world is already thrusting upon us. What I mean by that is we allow things that are not urgent to become urgent. We allow ourselves to believe and act from a belief system that is no longer serving us. In other words, being radically generous is our nature. It is creative and transformational to follow our inner truth in the best way we can. And the things we do not control, the things that stimulate us in the moment, whether it be a work demand, a professional demand, a family demand, are not all urgent. So when we do mindfulness practices such as journaling, meditation, physical movement, we make a contribution to the world. These practices that are often called self-care, I think are really embracing your self-worth, really stepping into your self-empowerment, really deciding for yourself that someone else's procrastination, desire, or urgency may or may not be your own in a specific circumstance. And that is how we're able to prioritize. But being ourselves in the moment allows us to not risk the tendency to overdo, the tendency to over-deliver. I brought a lot of information today, but if you notice, much of it was repetitive. And much of it is embodied. When we live something, we begin to embody it. Go to that place. Go to the place where you are not only enough, you are more than enough. And sit with that for a moment.
And I love what you're saying about, you know, embodying who we are. And I think that that is a great segue to one of the questions from our audience is, how do we then stay authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And embody ourselves when, you know, we are looking ourselves at corporate America and there are sort of set standards and set beliefs and set ways of supposedly doing things to be able to grow in the corporate ladder. And there's really not a lot of people like us in senior leadership positions. So again, it's hard sort of, how do we stay authentic, but still are able to meet those requirements to then be able to grow in that corporate ladder?
So it was very interesting to me because one of the things that I had written and thought to say to you today is that I came up as a youngster and professionally in an alternate universe where only a very small portion of the population, never mind Latinas, Blacks, Indigenous people, and people of color in the ballet and contemporary dance world in the 90s, early 2000s, 80s even, did not exist very much. And Tina Ramirez was an outlier in founding this company. But the reason I say this again is because I want to make that bridge for you of how I showed up in corporate. I showed up as an outlier, somewhat of an anomaly. I knew professional standards. I knew what to wear. I knew when to speak and inquire and how to use my manners. I was raised by Latino parents, right? It's ingrained in us to the point where actually the no niña and cuidado becomes almost a fear base of conditioning, right? And so now I found myself in a corporate setting and I feel your challenge, your perceived obstacle. And I go back to two things. I go back to courage. Sometimes we are the conformist by choice, and we would be pleasantly surprised to decide to think, be, and act slightly differently if it is close to our nature to do so. It would be embraced like it was by the CEO and COO that I found myself with. So we have created habits that hinder our truth. And I ask you this, are they imposed upon simply by corporate America, or are we conforming to something that we perceive is the only way we will be accepted? We will advance. It's the same as overdoing in a sense. It's this belief that I have to be other than I am in order to meet a standard that possibly we're creating right here. So I say, shed some habits that don't serve you, that hinder your truth, release and renew yourself, and show up that way. And watch energetically how that shining light is perceived by others. You may come across some resistance, and you will likely come across refreshed, renewed, re-energized people. You become that breath of fresh air in corporate America. You become the one to come from love, compassion, courage.
I love that. And I think you're right. It's about right now in this moment of change, and you mentioned it somewhere at the beginning of, you know, all the rules are being rewritten, right? With the everything, all the disruption that's happening, many of these rules, and I think it's a great opportunity for us exactly to use that moment of rules and beliefs and past ways of thinking and working to think about, you know, new ways of moving forward. So I love what you're saying. Another question, somebody's asking if you can talk more about how balance is a perpetual motion when you were talking about courage.
Oh, this is a great question. All the questions are great. This one is really juicy, and I'm going to try to be as concise and laser for you as possible. I learned it first physically. There is this incredible YouTube video I did not embed in this presentation, but I often use, of a young girl, about 9 years old, on a half Bosu ball. You know, those exercise balls? Some of them come split in half on a platform. And she is on a point shoe, meaning she is on the point of one leg on the Bosu ball, holding nothing but her arms out in a T. We call it second position. And she's lifting and lowering one leg. Now, if you have ever stood even with 2 feet on a Bosu ball, it is really unsteady. For us to move from a comfort zone, we'll call it these corporate demands we were just speaking of, to a growth mindset where we become the catalyst for change and growth, and we still remain humble but courageous, bold and brilliant, thoughtful and generous, right? We are on that Bosu ball, on the tip of our toe. We are on that tightrope. Picture a circus act on a tightrope, right? Our bodies have a core center. It is not your abdomen like you think. Our minds have a core center. It is not the past, but the present, right? The core center of your body is from your shoulders to your hips and 3-dimensional. And so you are constantly adjusting to remain balanced. It is the same in life. We all do. We create undue stress by thinking that balance is, I have every aspect of the 9 to 12 areas of my life all figured out, and they're going well. No, where your focus goes and your energy goes, that's what grows, and something else has to adjust. So this is what I mean by balance. There's a talk I call Balance Schmalance, because it's not what you think it is. What seems to be stillness is actual slight and perpetual motion. The palm that gives to the storm survives. The oak that gets hit with the wind and is so solid crashes.
Thank you. I think your references to you know, our physical body are so important, because in a way, you know, everything is tied, right? It's not only about the work and the mind, but how it impacts our body. And I think those are great examples. And it seems that we have several dancers in the audience that are definitely very thankful for your references. So at the beginning, you talked about, you know, not separate the way you lead from the way that you live, and think ourselves about as leaders. And I think that is something that I find myself as a Latina and as a coach and with many of my clients, something that feels separate for some reason. First, the belief that we're all leaders. There's that belief that only if you are in a certain position, you're a leader, and that I think is a belief that we need to pull back. But then the other is how we are meant to live, or what's expected from us versus what we truly believe should be. And I think in a way it comes back to that chat about authenticity. But I would love to hear from you a little bit more about that connection of leading the way we want to live, and as leaders, all of us, how should that be, especially as we head into this new world?
Let's address a little bit of that question at a time. Let's break it down into a few pieces. It is often thought that the priority and the most important thing that we have to do is show up, work, be paid for that work, and pay the bills. Feed and house our family. These basic needs must be met. And that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. If you think about the hierarchy of things, if your basic needs are not met, it is difficult to meet the needs and the calling and the requirements of the outside world, correct? But there is something that we didn't touch upon in the balance question that ties to this. And it is, my friends, alignment. It is congruency. What does it mean to be congruent? Many of you may hear in the circles of mind mastery, of consciousness and higher consciousness about the law of attraction, for example. And you might think, well, the secret left out the main part, which is the action, the analytics, the strategy, the metrics, the implementation. Because we could sit under the Bodhi tree, right, with a mudra, telling a mantra over and over. Nothing would probably happen in your real life as an employee, as a leader, as a parent, as a partner, right? So what has to happen, the missing link sometimes in how we lead and how we live, is hypocrisy. We are all hypocritical by nature, by socialization. We say we want one thing, but we do another. I remember Mommy, Saturday mornings were cleaning mornings, 4 hermanas. Everybody had a duty to do to clean this whole big century-old brownstone. And I remember as snappy teens, we began to say, yes, Mommy, I know. And she would say back, you know everything, but you don't do it. You know everything, but you're not doing it. So I spoke earlier, you know a thing, knowing something and living it are two different things. So know this, my friends, mis latinas y latino con Mario y algunos que andan por ahí. Know this. Know that some power of source, God, universe, whatever your faith base is, knows and aligns with what you truly believe. And to know a thing is not to live a thing. So this idea of self-leadership first is not selfish, it is necessary. And the more you do that, the more you will show up this way. Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you that this journey is one that is simple. I've asked spiritual teachers through my tears or through my body aching, does it have to be difficult? Well, without the contrast, why would we aim for something higher? This is the human experience. So start with self-leadership, devote yourself to practices that ignite you, and stay away from the things that steal your thunder, that steal your light. And then you will see more of a congruency in how you lead and how you live. You will not be afraid of the dark side, as they say, or your insufficiencies that you perceive. Self-consciousness and self-doubt are the killers of the mastery of your life and leadership. And so how will you align yourself to build consciousness as opposed to self-doubt and self-consciousness? It's about congruency. Line it up, align it.
Oh my God, so many things to digest this morning. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I took so many notes, and I think to your point, it's going to take, taking that pause, taking the time to be able to digest and see where do we need to make that change, where do we need to do that shift in beliefs to achieve that congruency, which in a way feels so easy, quote unquote, and really when we get to it, we end up falling back into our old behaviors. So I think it's just taking it a step at a time. We are running on our last 5 minutes. Any final thoughts, Maritza, that you want to share with us as we close this wonderful morning session?
First, I want to express again my appreciation to each and every one of the participants, the organizers, the leaders of ALPFA Boston and the Latina Summit. It is such a delight and a pleasure and an honor to be given this platform. And then I want to say one last thought. You said something about it seems easy. I don't believe it's easy, but I do believe in the beauty, the power of simplicity. Be in your body and your mind and your spirit at peace because you are whole, happy, healthy, sane, and hopeful by nature. Have a beautiful rest of the summit and rest of the morning, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, thank you, Maritza, for making the time, for dealing with the hardships. Hopefully everything will be okay today with the storms. It is storm season, so to add into the addition of the craziness. So thank you for going through that. And to everybody, thank you for your attendance once more. Also, thank you to State Street for being an invaluable partner to ALPFA in supporting the professional development and empowerment of Latina professionals for today. And we would also like to point out that there is a career fair live. So if our audience hasn't checked it, please and are interested, please make sure that you drop on the link that's being posted. And we also want to invite you to attend the rest of the sessions for the day. They are all going to be recorded, but in case you can join them live, please feel free to do that also. There's a link where you will find all the links to all the sessions. So even if you didn't register, we definitely invite you to attend them as much as possible. And the recordings will be available hopefully in the next couple of days through our YouTube website for ALPFA Boston. So you'll be able to see this and the rest of the sessions there. So thank you everybody again for being here. We are heading now into the next session of the morning, which is a salary negotiation workshop. So I invite everybody to log on to there. It'll start there shortly, and we'll wish everybody a great and wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Maritza.
Thank you.